Okay, today is Sunday the 22nd of October. It is now, as you can see, 3:36 p.m. What I am doing is capturing how it is that I go ahead and add the final track of, in this case, vocals and guitar onto the pre-recorded comping videos where I play both drums, bass, and keys. What I've done is I've stored them all on a memory stick. I've accessed the memory stick, and I'll close this out just so you can see what I do. This is for my future reference. Not that I couldn't figure it out all again, but I thought I'd share it with my audience. Oh yes, I have a game of Spider that I'm playing at this point. So what I'm doing is loading softly as the morning sunrise, and then I pause it. Stick it towards the end. Now you would have to literally go online to YouTube to find Golden Phoenix Publish, call up the playlist of comping videos, determine which tune you're actually interested in, and then you would load it up, make sure it loads all the way through, and then put it up on a screen behind you, set up a camera, put a microphone up against the speaker system that you have, allow enough space away. I'm doing it a little bit differently. Yeah, leave enough. Get it right up against the speaker system because you're going to both capture the sound using something like Audacity, which I am using. At the same time, you're also going to video yourself playing with a camera that I'm holding in my hand, usually mounted on a stand, so that you can capture your singing or your instrumental playing, sax or guitar, whatever, at the same time. And then you would merge them together with the video by calling up the video. You might have to get special extensions, by the way, for Audacity software to import sound from MP4s. So then you would merge them together and do a nice balance on them the best you can, maybe do a little equalization, and at that point you would create a single file, which I'll show you later on. But let's go ahead with our first effort here. So I'm going to start recording. I'm going to punch in softly. I'm going to let it start a little bit in advance. And then what I do is, as it's running, I screwed up because I need to create a new track. Add a new stereo track, make it solo, initialize recording. And then using my wand here, what I'll do is I'll change the volume so that I don't peak out. Typically I want it about 2 decibels below peak, so that when I mix in the other sound, it basically comes out to about peak of 0 decibels. So now you get the idea. Let me take a break from this, and then I'll show you what else I have to do. Okay, so the next thing I have to do is I have to go to my controller here for the smart screen. I have to determine, set it up for a PC so that it will start showing playing. Now occasionally what I do is I screw up because I fail to go here and then not only maximize it, but if you leave the mouse anywhere on this bar down here, it'll stay present throughout the entire recording. You want it to go away, but it does. So now you got a view of the screen behind me. And what I'll do is I'll set the camera up on the stand. I'll make it so that you can see both myself playing and singing as well as the screen behind me. Now I'm wondering if this thing is, no, it's not zoomed. Okay, so now I've got the preliminaries set up. So now the next stage will actually begin the recording. Okay, so one of the things you want to actually do is you want to actually zoom to track size fit to width so you can see the excursion of the volume. These look good. I had already set it up. You got some space between the highest volume and the actual terminus of the field. So I think the volumes are pretty well set up on this one. Okay, some other steps here. You can see that I've got the screen behind me. I don't really want to have Audacity. So what I will do is make this go back. So I have the screen, I have the track set up. I will begin a recording. I will go in, it's now recording. Doesn't matter, I can edit that out later on. Once again, I'll expand out. Now we'll just let it run behind me. So my next step is, in most instances, I do need sheet music, except for maybe bluesy music, like all blues, or music like Freddie Freeloader, you know, 4-chord stuff. I can memorize that. I have about over 4 dozen tunes memorized on the keys. Keys is much more easy to memorize tunes on than the guitar. The guitar is squirrely, you have to go all over the place, chords are in different positions all the time. It's a bit challenging. So right now I'm recording, I got the sound behind me, I got the guitar. What I'll typically do at some point is I'll work on making sure my tuning is right. That's a C minor 7, sounds pretty good to me. Now, one of the things you'll notice when you're starting to improvise along with a tune, if your instrument's out of tune, you'll just be scrambling all over the neck trying to find the right sound. If your instrument's in perfectly good tune and you have a really good sense of the tune, you'll play far fewer notes, and the notes you play will be the ones that basically replicate what you're hearing in your mind's ear. So, now that I've got the instrument reasonably tuned, and I've got everything set up for parameterization in terms of sound, recording, vision behind me, my location, instruments tuned, now I can proceed to actually doing a recording. And ideally, I do it first try, even with some mistakes. If it has mistakes in it, as long as it's first try, that's got the best energy in it. Okay, so let's make a run at this now. So I want to make sure I've got the sheet music before me, my instrument's tuned, I've got the tune running behind me, and now I'm going to have to play to it. As well as sing. Oftentimes the lyrics aren't even on the sheet music, so I have to kind of like remember that. I'll do a stroke to make sure that I can get the timing set up between the recording. As in the morning sunrise, the light of love is stealing into the newborn day, blazing with all fire of a sunrise. A burning kiss is sealing the vow of between. But such passions are so thrilling, they lift you high up to heaven. Passions that are killing, let them all fall away. And each story, softly and weaving, sunset, the light that brings you glory, takes all away. that take may not be my final take. That's just the first run through. Sometimes it works out and I only play it one time right from the beginning. Other times I need to run through it. The tune ran a little longer. I got out of sequence with it a little bit. But for the point of perspective of just demonstrating how I go about putting one of these tunes together, I thought I'd share that with you. What you'll find later on here on Golden Phoenix Publish is my actual final version of Softly as in the Morning Sunrise. Well, alrighty then. It's now 4:42. The next pass after this video was the one that I said, it's good enough. And the basic idea being that I'm showing or calling this Getting Her Done, so you'll understand how I go about pulling together a final multi-track project. Anyway,
Today is Sunday,
I'll run the volume down a little bit and explain things.
October.
All right, so I've already captured basically how I set up a video series. This is the final approach to it that I've worked out over time. Recording, making sure the screen's up, trying to make sure it's maximized and without any bars on it. Recording initially to set the volume level for Audacity software, and then playing the video in the background while recording the sound off the video as I position the camera in a now non-existent tripod over there and sit in this position here. My basic philosophy is I'm shooting for what is called being an adept musician. A competent musician is and I've already covered this somewhere elsewhere in the video, and I'll include a link to that when I do it. But a competent musician will practice a tune over and over and over again, play it the same way, because they're basically getting their chops together. Once you can sort of get your chops together by repetitively practicing a piece of music, you want to push yourself so you have to play it any possible number of ways and right out of the box. You don't want to be stuck with this idea that you just only can play a tune one way. So traditionally I've played music using Band in the Box, and I'll probably include a reference to a Band in the Box tune. I may even fold it into this video here, who knows. But anyway, Band in the Box plays something over and over the same way. You can pretty much set it up how you want to do it. You can vary it by changing templates which relate to whether you're going to do it bossa nova or whether you're going to do it swing, any number of variety of different rhythmic feels and tempos, and that challenges you to expand your ability to play as a musician. Band in the Box worked great, especially for the guitar. I didn't really use it very much for the keyboard, electing myself to add my own cello, bass, and drums, and ultimately came up with a comping video playlist series on this channel, which is what I have been using in order to develop my guitar playing. So ideally, you want to be able to play a tune reasonably well with a minimum number of faux pas, first time, ideally if you're playing out. And then if you're doing a recording, trying to get it done a couple of times. The biggest exception to that was the last tune I put up for me, which was Round Midnight, and it is so much of a finger twister that I really needed to practice it over several days for about an hour before I could pull off a halfway decent version. So what I do after I get everything videoed is I suck it into a thing called Movie Maker, which is an old version, probably 12 years old now, of video editing software. I just don't want to bother at this point with having to learn any other video software because I'm spread pretty thin between playing music, all the instruments, plus doing my Astro stuff. So I'm pretty much pleased with this. So what I'm going to do after this is I'm going to try to find an old version of a Band in the Box video that I've done, probably of Softly as in a Morning Sunrise, and include that along with the latest version I've just done where I'm doing multi-instrumental music. I may get some more ideas for this little short documentary video series, and I may add them on as well. But at this point, basically what I've done is I've included all the videos done previously, and I included the original effort at Softly as a Morning Sunrise, plus my reproduction that I am doing, that I did the next pass on the camera. So we'll see what else comes out in this series. So there we have it on the screen in the editing software.
found on the train. But such passions are so thrilling, they lift you high up to heaven. But passions that are killing, let them all fall away. And each story, softly an evening sunset, the light that brings you glory, takes it all away. Passions are so thrilling, they lift you high up to heaven. Those passions that are killing, let them all fall away. And each story, softly an evening sunset, the light that brings you glory, takes it all away. Yeah, Softly as in a Morning Sunrise by Sigmund Romberg.
Okay, I've mentioned that I've done versions of Softly as a Morning Sunrise to Band in a Box. Typically that happened either in Tucson at our condo or while we were traveling on the road. This one is done at the Cable House restaurant. It's in, I think it was Seward on Vancouver Island, maybe around 2015, so quite a while ago. The virtue of doing Band in the Box, as I mentioned before, it's great to develop competency. You can play the tune the same way over and over again with a very precise backup band of keys and bass and drums in a variety of styles. You don't have to really do that much of listening to what's going on behind you. You can focus primarily at just playing the instrument because the musicianship is so impeccable but lacks any real verve. But it's a fabulous tool to develop your chops. So I'll be rolling this particular video that you're seeing here into the final result of the documentary I am now videoing. As the guitar playing continues behind me, I want to kind of outline what my hopes are for the immediate future. I really love doing the Real Book project. That's the Real Book. It was a gift of a friend, and I really do appreciate it, Jeff. Thank you. Now, what I've been doing is going through playing tunes I had never really heard before. Well, there are a few exceptions. I heard a couple of the Bill Evans tunes and the Miles Davis tunes. Tunes by Wayne Shorter, a couple of those. But what I really enjoy doing is taking, because I'm not a very good sheet music reader, taking this stuff, because all this is a bunch of clues as to how to play it, sitting down and trying to make sense of it in my own musical sense of it. For instance, Serenade to a Cuckoo was the last of the Real Book tunes that I had previously recorded. It's on, of course, Golden Phoenix Publish. Now, the key is I spent a good deal of time on the keyboards trying to interpret the sheet music. And then I can add the drums. Now the drums, I don't have a great deal of variety in the way I approach the drums. I don't really care. I like my sound the way it is, mistakes and all. But what I'm really looking forward to getting back into is the bass. The bass is such a great instrument because you get to add rhythm. You don't have to worry about more than one note at a time. You just listen to what's in your head as you listen to the music and you try to follow it. If you make mistakes, big deal. You're always within one note that'll work. And you try to add a sense of rhythm and feel and a little bit of fullness to the sound. Bass is a great instrument. I want to get back to that as well as interpreting music that I've never really quite heard before. Meanwhile, I really have to settle down and discipline myself to practicing the guitar regularly, playing against my own music, and so that when I do go to play out somewhere, I can take the backing tracks that I've already laid down, the 24 of them, and I can use them to back myself as opposed to Band in the Box, which is quite excellent to use for backing up, as you will have heard in the previous tune that just concluded. Well, so we've looked back a little bit, we jumped forward a little bit, we heard the latest project. I'm ready to move on now and maybe head off back into the real book project. But I've really enjoyed laying down these 24 tunes. And by the way, the very fellow who gave me this real book also was the one that prompted me, my friend Jeff out of Olympia, Washington, to lay down the backing tracks using multi-stacking video. And eventually what I did is I said, why stop at the 9 he asked for? Why not jump in and get 2 sets of music together, which I hope you will appreciate. And I'm really encouraging other folks to take the time to use them as backing tracks, even with the flaws, and see if you can make musical sense out of them, because that's how you move from being a competent musician to an adept. Well, adios and au revoir. Softly as in a morning sunrise, the light of love comes stealing into the morning, blazing with all the fire of a sunrise, burning kisses sealing the vow of betray. Hush, passions are still thrilling, lift you high up to heaven. The passions that are killing, let them all fall away. And each note